Hello everyone. So it's Vlogmas day 22 now, I believe. 22. There. Anytime the holidays roll around, I always like remembering certain things that happened to me and to my family from past years, such as, well, okay, first I want to say, if you're watching this and you still believe in Santa Claus, I will say you might not want to watch this because I'm going to talk about some stuff that might completely blow your mind wide open. Or no, well, either that or it'll probably irk you somewhat, vex you in some way. Though it's not my intention. So when me and my sister were growing up, just like a lot of other kids, we did believe in Santa Claus. And of course our parents helped to reinforce that belief. But I will say that for me, there was never really one particular moment in which I stopped believing. Like, I know, like, supposedly a lot of kids will have some kind of certain event that will happen to them, or or something will happen that would just be kind of like such a big shocker, and it might take them a while to get over it. And one of those things is finding out that Santa Claus is not really a physical being that exists within this reality. So yeah, for me, I never really had any moment like that. It was more like I knew, I was familiar with my parents' handwriting, and pretty much by the time I was 8 or 9, I could tell right away that my dad was the one who was signing, leaving signatures on these different gifts that were for me. He signed them as, to Ryan from Santa, or to Ryan from Mr. Claus. And so by the time I was 8 or 9, I was already very familiar with my dad's handwriting, so I knew it was my dad that was doing it. But so I guess because for me, the whole Santa thing, what's the word to use? Uncovering, solving the mystery of Santa Claus. I guess for me it happened in a much more gradual way. It didn't all happen all at once. So then when that happened, I will admit once I had solid proof that there was no Santa Claus, or there was no physical being known as Santa Claus, I kind of wanted to share it right away with some of my friends and younger cousins, but of course I didn't. I really just kind of like stopped myself because I realized that, hey, I don't want to spoil anything for them, and on top of that, I didn't want to make them cry. But there was one year in which me and my sister, I think I was already about 9 years old, maybe going on 10, and I think my sister was maybe about 7 years old, or maybe 6, going on 7. And at the time we were going to this daycare center after school. I think it was called like Club Kids or something like that. And it was somewhere in the LA area in California, because that's where we were born and raised. in and around the Los Angeles area. Though eventually we moved out to the southwestern part of Texas. But for the most part, we were born and raised in California. So when we were one time, it was around the holiday season, and we were at this daycare, and the daycare workers there, they hired some guy to pretend to be Santa Claus, but they didn't have anybody show up like dressed as Santa. It was just, they did it completely over the phone, and I don't know, I guess, which pretty much led me to believe right away that they just like decided to do it on the spur of the moment. And so they had this one guy try to mask his voice, and he tried to talk in a much lower register. You know, he was, you know, something like how Santa would sound, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. And so they had all of us in the daycare, all of us kids in the daycare center line up, and they had each one of us individually go in to the office area where the phone was, really where the only phone was. Of course, at that time, this was way before cell phones. So one by one, each of us, we had our turn talking to this faux Santa Claus on the phone. And then when it was my turn, I picked up the phone. And of course, you know, I just said hello, and this guy on the other end, who was also a daycare employee, I believe. You know, he said, "Oh," he's like, "Who's this?" And I don't know. I just said, "My name's Ryan." And he said, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas, Ryan?" And then it was at that point that, you know, I realized. I said, "Okay, I can either play along, or I can try to see how committed this guy is to being Santa Claus." And I know it may seem like kind of an out of the ordinary thing for a 9-year-old or 10-year-old kid to do, but I don't know. I guess that's how I was at that age. I think I've always been a very inquisitive person. I was always a very inquisitive child, and so today, I mean, I'm a very inquisitive adult. But especially back then, I always found myself questioning a lot of things that adults never bothered to question, much like today. So, I mean, I don't know. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy my childhood, because I did. I mean, you know, how could I not? I mean, I wasn't really deprived of much of anything. And so essentially, what I did was I asked this faux Santa Claus on the phone. I told him, I said, "Okay, if you're really Santa Claus, then name all of your reindeer. Name all 8 reindeer." And of course, I think, I don't remember if I was including Rudolph in that 8, or, you know, but I just decided just to go with 8, because I figured, you know, it's a nice even number. So I asked him, you know, if you're really Santa Claus, then you know, can you name all 8 of your reindeer? And to which he responded, he said, "Oh, okay." And he said, he said, "Rudolph, Prancer, Dancer, Dasher, Vixen," and then by that point, that's when he just pretty much drew a blank and didn't know what to say after that. So then that's when I realized, and I actually said it out loud. I don't really remember exactly how loudly I said it, but I guess it was loud enough because the two daycare workers who were there, they right away they told me to be quiet. They said shh, and but I essentially said, "You're not Santa Claus," and to which he responded, "Oh yes, I am Santa Claus." And I said, "No, you're not Santa Claus because you can't name all of your reindeer." And so yeah, and I guess I did. I might have probably said that a little too loudly. And I'm not sure if some of the other kids overheard me. And I guess they did, because then at that point, none of the other kids wanted to go and have a turn at speaking with Santa Claus. Or I should say, not that none of them, but maybe like, I don't know, 5 or 6 other kids, because they were the only ones that had actually paid attention to what I said out loud. They were the ones that didn't want to speak with this fake Santa Claus on the phone. So yeah, I don't know. And of course, at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I just, I mean, because for the most part, in all honesty, before that, I figured that Santa Claus was, I just assumed Santa Claus was just another guy who, he had a job. He had a job like any other job. I mean, whether or not he actually possessed any kind of magical powers, I mean, that wasn't really a big selling point for me, I guess. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I've always been much more of a logical person, a logical thinking person. And so, I mean, I don't know. I guess today I do kind of feel bad that I might have ruined the illusion of Santa Claus for some kids at that daycare. But at the same time, I mean, I don't regret posing the question to that fake Santa Claus over the phone. I mean, because definitely none of the other kids asked him anything similar, and certainly it didn't seem like they were going to. But I mean, overall, okay, maybe I shouldn't have asked him, but I don't know. So then later on, after, I think it was my mom who picked us up from the daycare center later that day, the daycare workers there, they told her what happened, and they kind of like laughed it off, and my mom did too. She also laughed it off, but at the same time, they were concerned that I might have inadvertently disappointed some of the other kids, and so yeah, after that, after that, when they tried to do some other stuff similar to that, like, for like Easter, they had some guy come dressed in an Easter bunny costume. Right away, they told me, don't say anything, Ryan, don't spoil it, blah, blah, blah. And on April Fool's, they tried to pull this pretty elaborate prank, and of course, they told me, don't say anything, Ryan, blah, blah, blah. And, but yeah, I don't know, I guess that's kind of a little bit of an insight into what my childhood was like, which oddly I think is really not that much different from how my adulthood is, except maybe, a little slightly more responsibilities here and there, obviously. But so yeah, I don't know. I mean, let me know what you guys think, as far as the whole illusion of Santa Claus goes. I mean, I will say that I do like the idea of Santa Claus. I do like the mystery, the whole mystery of it. the fact that it's synonymous with Christmas, with the holiday season. And I have read some stuff about that. I think I want to say maybe sometime in the 16th century, or it might be 1600s, 1700s. There was an actual guy who was a toy maker. Well, he started off as a carpenter, and he started making toys in this village. And I want to say it was somewhere in Finland, or very close to Finland. But I'm not really sure about that. And he did. So one day he started making toys for all of the children in the village, because none of the children had anything to play with. And he started doing this like once a year, and then he kept doing it. He kept it going, pretty much well until he was, of old age. And then even after he passed away, then some other toy maker in the village took his place and kept the tradition going. But eventually, the original guy, I know his first name was like Nicholas or Nicola or something like that. Eventually, he became, he was granted sainthood or something like that by the church, and thus, the whole Saint Nicholas thing. So yeah, I mean, I do believe that there was an actual guy that fulfilled the role of Santa Claus for a while, and then other guys that followed after him followed in his footsteps. So I mean, I don't know, maybe, for all I know, maybe there's some guy that exists today that's doing something similar. I don't know. Stranger things have happened within our reality, so yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Also, too, I would like to know some of if you happen to have a similar story, such as, when the illusion for you was shattered, or, if it was like a big earth got tongue tied. If it was a big earth shattering moment for you, or if it just happened gradually, or, I don't know. It definitely seems like one of those interesting topics to me that not all of us are always talking about. Or, I mean, obviously, especially if we happen to have young children around, that's not necessarily something that we like to talk about. So, but yeah. Thanks for watching. I guess I'll do it. Vlogmas day 22. There you go. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you everybody who's currently subscribed. I do appreciate it. Don't be afraid to follow me on social media. All the links will be down below. And until next time, keep it real. Keep on rocking. Peace.